Hey, welcome to our Wednesday afternoon broadcast. It is May the 9th. Today we are going to be discussing binging as it relates to a feeling that we have about how we're consuming our nutrients. If you are joining us live, I always appreciate you guys being here and welcome you to today's broadcast. And if you're catching this on the replay, you are equally as important to me. Thank you so much for clicking that play button and catching this video broadcast. I always like to also invite you to hit that subscribe button if you're joining us on YouTube, or that like button if you are joining us on Facebook. That way you will be now a permanent part of our community and will be notified when we do our live broadcast or we upload a recorded video. I also like to take just a second to introduce myself. My name is Diane, and for the past 25 years or so, I have been helping women find nutritional plans and fitness programs to help them look and feel their best and live their most authentic life. And here in this community, we are doing that through the practice of intermittent fasting and developing a keto-like lifestyle. So today we are going to be discussing binging. And before I start getting in too deeply about what we're going to talk about today, I want to just preface today's talk with this. When I'm discussing binging, I want to make it clear that I am not talking about binging as it relates to someone who's suffering from a very legitimate and medically sort of diagnosed eating disorder. What I want to talk about today is binging in the sense of we feel like we might be overeating, and we're using that terminology and associating that with a bad thing. And so I wanted to just make that clear, and anyone who suffers from eating disorders, I totally understand the struggle that you're going with, and I'm not trying to say that this is equal to that, or in any way offer any kind of advice for anyone who's medically suffering from any sort of eating disorder. So this is just in relationship to a lot of the comments I get here in this community, and a lot of the concerns women are having about changing their eating style and a feeling they have about how they're consuming their nutrients. So binging defined is just basically anything that we do in an excess amount. So in the nutrition world, we associate binging with out of control and over consuming food. So a lot of women, when they first start intermittent fasting and they exit their fasting window and they enter their feasting window, they feel like they're binge eating. And they get really alarmed by that and feel like they're doing something wrong. And so what I really try to teach with fasting and feasting and creating a lifestyle that you can live with for the rest of your life and really be able to use it to enhance the way you want to live and live authentically, is that you really want to become very intuitive with your body. And so we are training our hunger hormones to signal to us when and what and how we want to eat when our hormones are balanced out. And so when we do that, in the very beginning stages of that training and that balancing out, our hormones are completely, upset with us, and they're totally out of whack. And you're going to have those days where you feel like you just can't get enough nutrients in. And that's sort of your hormones being in a panic mode, and they're being stressed out. They don't know what's going to come next. As you get really comfortable with your fasting and your feasting, which comes with time and consistency, those hormones start to balance out, and we do feel like we have a little bit more control when we're in our feasting window. So when you're learning how to fast, and what I teach in my course is really going the max amount of time that you can go with intermittent fasting in a clean fasted state. And then when you open up your feasting window, you're going to learn intuitively how to feast on nutrient-dense foods that work well with your own chemistry system. So you're going to figure those foods out yourself. There will be days that you'll experience a time in your feasting window when you really won't have much of an appetite at all. And you might just forego eating the way you normally do and eat very minimally. That, in our society, or with the diet mentality, is kind of considered a good thing, right? Like, oh, I passed up food, I didn't feel like eating. Yet, if you're going to really listen to the signs and signals your body is sending you, and you're going to trust what you're doing in your fasting window and listen to the signs and signals in your feasting window, and you have those days where you just feel like your body's sending you signals that you need to take in more nutrients, we really need to learn how to change our vocabulary and the way we think about that. So if I have a day where my body is just sending me emotional signals that I need nutrients, and my body's feeling like it needs more nutrients, why can't I just say that I feasted well and pick foods that are going to really help me get to my end goal, which is looking and feeling my best while living my most authentic life, and foods that are going to satisfy the needs that my body is sending me through those signals. So we can change the way we think about feasting, or the way our body's telling us that we need to just put more nutrients in it, by just changing the dialogue and changing the words in which we choose to use. And so automatically when I say, I really feel like I need to feast well today, and I pick nutrient dense foods that are going to sustain what it is that I want to have as my end goal, then I just feasted well. If I say to myself, and we usually say it after the fact, right? Oh my gosh, I was totally out of control and I binged the whole time I was in my feasting window. We now set ourselves up for a very negative feeling and association about what just happened in our feast. That puts us in that sort of downer mode, or that we've made a mistake, or we've done something wrong, we've made a bad choice, and those kind of feelings and those words in our own head do release an emotional response, which also is associated with a hormonal response, and that keeps us in that hormonal imbalance. So the words that we choose and how we associate our actions to those words really do matter when we are trying to really balance out our hunger hormones. And I always say words matter. What you say, what you type, what you hear will inevitably affect how you feel deep down inside. And so when we use words like binging or out of control or I'm struggling, we automatically set ourselves up to be disappointed. And those disappointed feelings release hormones that are associated with being down about ourselves. If we use words like feasting well, making really good nutritional choices, feasting on nutrient dense food, satisfying what my body was telling me that it needed, making those kind of like uplifting and positive words that associate the actions in which we just partook in, release a whole another set of hormones which are going to lift us up and energize us. So binging is a word that we really should be using very cautiously and very limited. When you need to eat, you just need to eat. And really changing a word from binge to feast can make the world of difference in how you're thinking about yourself, thinking about your journey, and it will also help you choose the correct nutrients to put into your body. Binging is out of control. Binging means that you're disassociating yourself with how you're feeling and what you're doing to satisfy that feeling, and it's very emotionally connected. If you say, I'm going to feast, feasting in itself just sounds like something that you really want to partake in, spend some time thinking about, and make a very deliberate effort about the choices that you're going to make and how that's going to make your body feel. So we want to make sure that we're using our words wisely, and we want to make sure that we think about what it is that we're really wanting our end result to be. If we always keep ourselves in that conscious state, which again I talk about here all the time, we want to live in a conscious state as we're moving through our day. We want to make sure that we're listening to the signs and signals that our body is sending to us. We want to make sure that we are not checked out emotionally, so the actions that we take and the decisions that we make are going to put us in a positive and uplifting emotional state. That way we can really keep all of those hormonal reactions in balance, and that will keep us in that time and consistency and reaping the true benefits of what we can do when we're in that amazing fasting opportunity, and then closing it out with really good choices about what we're going to do to feast on. Yes, there will be days when your body just demands more in your feast. You have to listen to those demands and just keep it within the confines of what you've predetermined your feasting window to be, and then make sure that what you're choosing to feast on will be foods that will make you look and feel your best. So when you end that feast and you start your next fast, you're already ahead of the game. If we go to those negative places and we choose those negative words, I guarantee you the actions that you take will also line up with the words that you're choosing. And then we go into our next fast with already negative feelings, or feeling like we've made mistakes or we have to catch up. And we don't want to be playing that yo-yo type of game with something that is so amazing and so beneficial to us as fasting long and feasting well. So if you tend to use that word, we really want to make sure that we're respectful of it, and we're not using it flippantly, and we're not putting it in places where it's really not appropriate to put it, and make sure that we're using those words that are going to keep us on a positive note and really keep us uplifted and energized about what it is that we want to do. There are days when I have feasted for 4 straight hours on very nutrient dense foods. Then there are those days where, for whatever reason, my body just doesn't demand as many nutrients to be put back in it, and I may feast for maybe 30 minutes or have one small meal, and then I'm on my way into my next fast. This is the beauty of what we're creating when we create our own nutritional lifestyle. Every day you have the opportunity to listen to the signs and signals that your body is sending you, and then make very educated, experienced, and conscious decisions about how it is you're going to feast and fuel your body. If you're in one of our courses that just started, keep in mind the lessons are coming to you that are going to explain why all of this comes about and why this is so beneficial to really learn how to listen to your body. When your hunger hormones are balanced out, your body's going to tell you what it needs, and we really have to pay attention and make sure that we confidently listen to it. If you've been hanging around in this environment for a while, you know we talk about this a lot, about listening to those signs and signals. Be very intuitive with your body. Your body is an intelligent machine, and it really knows how to take care of itself. A lot of the problems that we encounter as we age, or as our body's hormones change, or as we just kind of go through the busyness of life, are usually because we get in the way of our own body. We need to really just sit back, relax, take some deep breaths, and think about what our body is capable of doing on its own, and then let it just do its thing. So I hope that clears up or helps you feel a little bit better about what you're experiencing in your feasting window, and clears up the difference between feasting well and what using the word like binging can really do for what you're trying to achieve in healing your body. A big part about what we're doing in this community is healing ourselves as the whole woman. So not only are we trying to balance out our hormones and maybe reverse some of the health conditions that we've that have kind of creeped up on us, and yes, we want to lose some weight and we want to release some inflammation, but we also really want to make sure that we're healing the relationship that we have with food and the relationship that we have with ourselves, and how we speak to ourselves when we feel like maybe we're not doing our best. There's no reason to beat yourself up. There's no reason to use negative type of words, and there's no reason for us to ever feel like we've made a mistake. We're just here to make decisions, and every day we have 2 decisions to make. How long will you fast, and how well will you feast? And what you do in that feasting window should be determined by the signs and signals that your body is sending to you. And it's all very personal, and it's all very individualized. So no 2 women are going to feel those same exact feelings, and they're definitely not going to feel those at the same exact time. So let me take a second to welcome everyone to today's discussion. And I'm going to start with YouTube today, because I've started with Facebook the last couple of days. So I'll welcome everyone and answer any questions or comments on YouTube. Maggie from Ireland, it's so nice to have you here. Susan from Virginia, welcome. Pamela, good to see you, girlfriend. Haven't seen you for a while. Nasima, I think it is. from Johannesburg, South Africa. Welcome, girlfriend. Nice to have you here as well. Amy, funny since IF, this is the first time in my life that I have not binged in 3 whole months' time. It puts me in control of food, and I feel so powerful for the first time. Amy, thank you for sharing that. We get a lot of that type of response for women who have felt that they were binge eaters in the past. Intermittent fasting and feasting to what your body is really demanding from you is a very controlled way to live, but it takes practice and it takes some training. And so that's why I say time and consistency is really key, because it's the consistency part that will really get you to that point of understanding the relationship that you have with food and the relationship that your body has with food, and then identifying the foods that are going to make you look and feel your best. And then those are the foods that you really can consistently put into your own lifestyle, and that's where you get the authenticity from. Life. I waited for this topic forever. Usually binge on bread or pasta and sugary food. It's pure addiction, and I feel horrible physically and mentally the next day. How do I just cut cold turkey? Life. I don't want this to seem insensitive, but the best way to cut cold turkey is just make a decision that you don't want to feel ucky. You don't want to feel mentally and physically bad the next day. And the way I've learned how to do that is I look at something, like I can even tell you the last time I had bread, like real bread, gluten-y, soy kind of bread. I look at it now and I immediately have an association of how I'm going to feel. And it's like putting your hand in a fire. Like you put your hand in a fire once, you get burnt. The second time, you already know what the feeling's gonna look like or feel like, so you kind of retract and pull away. That's how I feel about certain foods now. There are certain foods that I will never put in my body because they make me feel horrible. And so I just have that mental and emotional connection now with those kind of foods. So if you wanna kick the habit with something, the best advice I could give you is make the decision that taste is never going to taste better than how you want to look and feel. And when you make that decision for yourself and you just pause and ask yourself, how will I feel 10 minutes after I eat this? And if you know you're going to feel horrible, then you just can't keep eating that. I mean, you just can't. So you just have to make a decision and then love yourself enough to stick to it, I guess is the best way to say, to close that out. Lisa from Maryland, so glad you found this. Awesome, glad you're here too. Priscilla, hello, listening from work. In my second week of IF and it's going well, I'm not sure I'm getting enough calories. How many should I have per day? Lisa, I teach that in my course. Alpha, do you do juicing? No, I do not. Custom hair extensions. My first time catching you live. I have lost 12 pounds since March and I love the IF lifestyle. Thank you so much. Awesome. Thanks for checking in and letting us know that it's working well for you. I always appreciate that. Okay, so Facebook, let me jump over here and see if we have any questions or comments over here as well. Lots of people here today. Janet, good to see you, girlfriend. Haven't seen you in a little bit. Andy from Georgia, good to have you here as well. Janet from upstate New York. Stephanie, I'm here. So glad we're talking about this. Oh, good. Paula, hello. Erica from Banff, currently in the May course. Awesome. Michelle, great topic. Good. You needed to hear it. I think we all need to hear it. I need to hear it myself. So I always appreciate when these kind of requests come up. Carlene, super true. Okay, glad it's connecting with you too. And Stephanie, I understand now as far as the word binge. I guess I think of that word because after I ate my chicken Caesar salad, that was my last meal until later part of the day. So I was like a beast looking for food, hoping someone left a piece of bread in the fridge and I'm at work. I just didn't like the feeling I had at the moment. Okay, so here's another piece of advice when you feel out of control about eating. Especially when you're coming out of a good, long, clean fast, is have something. So have something that you can just kind of snack on to take the edge off kind of thing if you feel like you're out of control. So I use olives for that, and a specific olive for when I feel like, oh my gosh, I've got to eat something right now. And that's a jalapeno stuffed olive. And I choose that because the jalapeno is like spicy enough to kind of change the craving sensation of food, and the fat and the salt in the olive is enough to offset like an out of control hunger feeling. So find your thing that you can have, that you can just kind of pop in and just calm those hormones down a little bit until you get into a situation where you have more control. So jalapeno stuffed olives do it for me. I talk about how I use those even like to extend a fast on a weekend when we're going into church and I don't want to be super low energy. I'll eat 3 or 4 jalapeno stuffed olives on the way into church on the drive in, and then I could go like another 2 or 3 hours without needing to eat. And that goes from a, oh my gosh, I think I'm going to die, out of control feeling of hunger, to I could go 2 or 3 more hours. And it's simply just a couple of jalapeno stuffed olives. So nothing that's major, nothing that's out of control, nothing that's going to make me feel bad, actually enhances the last couple hours of my fast. Find your thing. It could be olives. It could be, maybe it's a teaspoon or tablespoon of peanut butter. Maybe it's a shot of coconut oil. Find your thing. And then you make sure you have that on hand to keep you in control and kind of settle down those hunger hormones. Sherry from New Mexico, good to have you here. Joy, getting here late. Can't wait to register. I'm sure I need this. Yeah, we all do. We all do for sure. Veronica from Las Vegas. Janet, I don't feel like I binge now. I either eat in my window or I don't. Yeah, that's and that's time and consistency, and also what I call being mature with your fasting. So that's consistency time, and the consistency and the time really helps you develop maturity. And as you become a completely healed woman, so a whole woman as far as how you feel, you've healed with your relationship from food and some past, maybe issues or whatever you've had with emotional type of eating. When you get all that healed, then you can be like Janet and you can just say, I'm either going to eat or I'm not going to eat because this is the time in which I designated for feasting. And that is that time and consistency thing. You have to do this for a lifetime. You have to make the commitment that this is going to be the way you're going to live for the rest of your life, and then you're not panicking. This is not a diet with an end date and a weigh-in time and before and after pictures and all those success or you failed type of situations. This is a work in progress that you can tweak and change and alter and experiment with for the rest of your life and reap the benefits of it. So don't feel so pressured to get it perfect. Don't feel so pressured to rush into this. It took me 2 years to figure this out, and I'm still tweaking things, and I'm still experimenting with things, and I'm still reaping the amazing benefits of it because this is just the way I'm living. This is my lifestyle. So there's no need for me to ever drastically change anything, and I just make conscious decisions about how I want to live my day in a fasted and a feasted state. So Janet, thank you so much for sharing that. Joy, getting here late. Oh, I think I already read that one. Let's see. Michelle, when I binge on bad food, I throw in the towel and give up. Okay, so Michelle, you're a perfect example of really changing your vocabulary. Don't say binge and don't say throw in the towel. You can say to yourself words like this: I probably feasted on way more food than I should have because I felt the sensation that I was satisfied. So tomorrow, when I open up my feast again, I'm really going to take a little extra time and think about what I'm doing. That way, when I enter into my next fasted time, I'll feel so much better. Like if you just have that really calm, positive conversation with yourself, you will heal all of those feelings of binging and doing a bad thing and throwing in the towel. Like there's nothing to throw in the towel with, really, with this way of living in this style, because there's no way you can do it wrong if all you ever have to do is make 2 decisions. I'm going to choose how I'm going to fast and I'm going to choose how I'm going to feast. That's all you have to do. Some days you're going to make better choices than other, but doesn't mean you failed, and it doesn't mean that you have to throw in the towel. It just means the next day you just make a better choice, and we're going to learn from the things that we've done in our past. And if you keep making the same bad choices over and over and over again, then we have to look deeper into the why of that. And it has nothing to do with fasting, and it has nothing to do with feasting. It has something to do with maybe some bad food emotional scars from your past, and we need to kind of unravel those and figure out why those are still haunting you today. So usually continually making bad choices has nothing to do with fasting or feasting. It has to do with something from your food story that we really need to kind of just settle out for you, so you have some freedom from that. So, Michelle, I hope that helps you, and I really want you to start working on using some different vocabulary. Angel, good to have you here with us. Victoria, your words are just amazing. Thank you. Oh, well, that's because I have gone through all of these things, and I can honestly tell you that I feel completely healed. So I had to say all of those things to myself as well, and really just know that there's no wrong way to do this. There's just decisions every day that you're going to make. And like I said, there are still times where I make decisions and I go, I know I could have probably done better than that. Or I go, okay, well, I'm going to just fast a little longer today because I made such and such decisions the night before or whatever. And yes, I still have margaritas and I still have a glass of wine. And there are times, even though I know that the corn chips at the Mexican restaurant are going to make me feel fatigued and have big bags under my eyes the next day, there's still times that I choose to eat those. And that's just a choice that I've made. And that's okay. The next day I drink more water, and I get a little extra sleep, and I go, okay, well, whatever. The tortilla chips were great, and I know next time maybe I won't do it, or maybe I will. I don't know. But those are just decisions that you make, and they're not bad. They're not making you bad. They're just decisions, and then you just learn from them, and then you just make a choice the next time you're confronted with them. That's the best way to really heal ourselves from all of this food trauma that we've had from our past. Okay, let's see. Lots more over here on YouTube. Let me find out where I left off. Let's see. Custom hair extensions. I can't forget that name, so that's where I left off. These, hello. What are your thoughts on the Halo Top ice cream? I've looked at that before. I think there's dairy in it, so we don't eat it. It would make us all sick. Yes, olives are my lifesaver. Charla checking in from Atlanta. Awesome. Oh, Charla, that's your name. Okay, cool. Oh, I see. Okay, custom hair extensions, etc. Charla Jones. Okay, so I'll remember Charla, and I won't have to say your whole thing next time I read your comment. Thanks for pointing that out. Tamara, wish I had tuned in before I ate that bowl of Fruit Loops. Well, girlfriend, I can't help you there. Mimi, first time catching you live. I've been one meal a day since mid-March, down 23 pounds. I'm 50 years old. Best I've felt in decades. Love watching your videos. You are a wonderful role model. Oh, awesome. Thank you. And I'm so glad that you're seeing and feeling results as well. Jennifer, when I binge, it has nothing to do with hunger, but everything to do with an emotional response. Usually tired and very out of control, working on it. Awesome. Okay, so Jennifer, what I would suggest is when you feel that way, pause. Take yourself out of that environment that you're about to feel like you're going to binge in, and create new habits and new boundaries associated with that feeling you have emotionally. So if you have that emotional feeling, you have to change the triggers. And sometimes just walking out of a room, or I've coached women before, I say get a big bright sticky note thing and put a note on, if it's maybe it's your pantry where you find that you binge, right? Put a note on the pantry door and just ask yourself the question, is what you're about to do worth it? Or turn around and go, walk out of the room. Put some trigger note up until you've created a new habit for yourself. You're just having to retrain your brain and retrain your emotions to respond to that emotional feeling in a different way. Once you've retrained it, then you've now created new boundaries for yourself, and that trigger won't be there for you anymore. So it's purposeful. You have to put things in place to help you with that. Pamela, you're growing younger looking. Pamela, thank you very much. I just had my 52nd birthday, so I will take that. Thank you. Terry, hello. Beth from the May course, got here late, but better than not at all. Going on 19 hours and feeling great. Awesome. Oh, there's dairy-free Halo now. Okay, cool. So I would have to read the ingredients on that before I gave an opinion on Halo Top ice cream. I always look at it, and then there's things in it that I go, not worth it. I think it's one of the lower sugar ice creams, I think. I don't know. We've looked at it before. We tend to have the So Delicious coconut milk or cashew milk ice cream if we do any kind of ice cream. Deanna, checking in from Colorado, March and April course. No more hot flashes. Lost 24 pounds, 51 years old. Fantastic. No more hot flashes and lost 24 pounds in her 50s. Hello. Can't get any better than that. Can't get any better than that. Let's see, Victoria, your words are so amazing. Oh, you're welcome. Jill from the May course, thank you. Amazing words of advice. Okay, Michelle, practice it. It's not going to come naturally. You have to practice it like you practice, tennis, or you practice painting, or you whatever it is that you want to become better at. You have to practice. So don't take it lightly. Don't take it flippantly. You have to seriously write out what you want to change and then put things in place to make it happen. It's not going to happen on its own. You have to be very deliberate about it and very conscious about it. So I have put sticky notes on cupboards before. I remove food out of my house if I'm not strong enough to handle it being in the cupboard. But now I'm at a point where I'm so trained and I do not want to feel sick again, that I can look at something and have an emotional warning signal in my own brain, and I immediately turn away. I'm not even interested in it, because there's nothing that's going to taste as good as I currently look and feel. And I don't want to sabotage that, because it took me way too long to get here. You'll get to that point as well, as long as you do the work to get yourself there. And I can tell you, it's totally worth it. So figure out how you're going to do that. Write it out, put sticky notes, put reminders on your phone, tell yourself you're worth it. Tell yourself there's nothing that's going to taste as good as how you want to look and feel, and let that be the motivation that's going to keep you from going to that point where you feel like you're binging, when really all you want to do is feast. And then just make sure you're feasting well. Janet, my go-to is jalapeno and garlic stuffed olives. Yeah, me too. They are the best. Stephanie, I'm all over the jalapeno olives. I love those. Yeah, they're the best. The absolute best. And here's the reality. I can eat, if I had the opportunity, an entire bag of Lay's potato chips. The yellow ones, the yellow bag, they're my absolute favorite. I could eat an entire bag and not even think about what I'm doing, and then feel horrible. Or I can eat 1 or 2 jalapeno stuffed olives and feel completely satisfied. Mind you, the entire bag of Lay's potato chips won't even make me feel satisfied. So know what those foods are that are dangerous for you, me, Lay's potato chips, and then keep them out of your sight or out of your reach while you're healing. Then put the foods in front of you that will satisfy you and make you feel like you're in control, so you can start talking to yourself in that positive way, start believing that you have control of this, and then keep you in that energized sense of calm and that feeling of being successful, and get you to that point of being healed. It's that simple. Identify the foods that are your problems, eliminate them from your life, put the foods in that are going to be nice tools for you, and then use those to your benefit, and then you will get where you want to go. I promise you. About the chips, right? I mean, come on, we all know that that's the case. I never thought you would ever say that. Oh yeah, please. Lay's potato chips, Pringles. I could eat an entire can of Pringles. I used to be able to do that, but now it's not worth it to me, because I've worked so hard to get where I'm at, that I just feel so much more in control of that. And quite honestly, if the family had an opportunity to go out to a Mexican restaurant and have chips and salsa, I would so much rather have that in a controlled environment with my family, making memories. And and we've all had those times too, right, where we've sort of stood in the pantry. This was me probably 10 years ago, when I was a Diet Coke fanatic. And I would stand in the pantry when the kids got home from school, when everything was out of control and I felt super stressed out, because I'm an A-type control freak. And backpacks were everywhere, and homework was flying, and shoes were kicked off, and kids were crying because they needed a snack. And I could stand in my pantry and, without even realizing what I was doing, eat an entire bag of goldfish and down a couple Diet Cokes, just because I was checked out. And not even hey, I have a care in the world, until the next day, and I woke up and I was feeling bloated and felt guilty because I was hiding in a closet and eating like that. And so we've all had those times. The best thing to do, though, is realize them, and then do what you have to do to take those things out of your life until you're in control. Today, if there was even a bag of goldfish in our cupboard, I wouldn't even touch the things, because they just make me feel bad. And the same thing with the Diet Coke. 10 years ago, you couldn't tell me enough bad things about what Diet Coke was doing for me to ever convince me that Diet Coke was bad for me. Yet today I look at a Diet Coke and I'm like completely disinterested. So your body's cravings and your body's desires and the habits that you've created will change. But you have to create the change first, and you have to have that deep seated why for what it is you're doing, so that your why is more important than a bag of Lay's potato chips, or your why is more important than a Diet Coke, or your why is more important than the feeling that you have right after you tell yourself that you just binged on something. Make good, solid decisions about your nutrition, and then you call it a feast. And you leave it at that. And you just pay attention to the signs and signals that your body was sending you. So I am super happy that this discussion has really kind of helped you guys get through some of this area that you're feeling stuck. Change your vocabulary first and foremost. Create positive feelings about the actions that you're taking in your fasting and your feasting window. Know that this sort of lifestyle is created by you based on how you want to look and feel and the things that are going to make you live your most authentic life. Make 2 decisions every day. How long will you fast? How well will you feast? And if something doesn't go perfectly, tomorrow is another day. Just start fresh. Thanks so much for joining me today, you guys. Make sure that you join us on Friday over on the IF Keto Family Life page. We are going to be discussing Mother's Day tips and how we're going to handle our Mother's Day this weekend. Michael and I are going to both share our thoughts on that. So make sure you're connected with us on that Facebook page. If you're interested in joining our June course, our registration for June is open. I would highly recommend, if you're not on our email list, that you make sure you get on it. If you've never taken one of our courses, we're going to have a special email go out to all of our people on our email list who have not yet taken one of our courses this weekend. So get on the email list. And then I think that's all. Kara, did you have any more announcements that you wanted me to make, other than our t-shirt shop is open? I know a lot of you have been waiting to grab your intermittent fasting for today's Aging Woman t-shirts. So our shop is open. You can go there at For Today's Aging Woman shop. Our shop will be open through the end of May, so make sure if you haven't grabbed a shirt yet, or maybe you want an extra shirt or a new saying to wear around to remind you about this amazing lifestyle you're creating for yourself, that you visit that shop before May 31st. So thanks again for joining me today, you guys. I love having you in this community. I love the fact that you're so open in sharing your experiences and your thoughts about the topics that we cover every day. I appreciate you. This community would not be what it is if you guys weren't here with me and sharing what it is that you are doing with your fasting and feasting. Have a great rest of your Wednesday, and I will catch you guys on Friday over at the IF Keto Family Life Facebook page. See ya.